you can really see when you start looking at the details, like there's a lot of running back to this
Right.
parts piece, and you know, a couple of times I went to the wrong place at the wrong time.
You can see some lost motion in there. There's some steps that you know you could reduce.
Ford realized that if his car was to be truly affordable, all this time wasted by inefficient toing and froing had to be eliminated.
The closer you look, the more you see inefficiencies that are easily fixed.
Ford gets his inspiration from the most unlikely of sources, a Chicago slaughterhouse, where he notices the carcasses being moved from one area to the other along a continuously moving rail. A method Ford realizes that he can adapt for the purposes of making cars. Instead of building a car by bringing the workers to it, Ford brought the car to the workers, so creating the moving production line. Traveling at 6 feet a minute, Ford's cars could now be assembled without his workers ever having to leave their positions, saving him both time and money.
This is Highland Park in the heart of Detroit.
Once, it was the biggest factory in the world, covering 60 acres and employing thousands of people. By 1925, it was producing up to 10,000 cars a day. Raw materials went in one end, and out the other came completed vehicles. In total, more than 15 million Model Ts were produced.
Put your thumb underneath, and then just pull up past 12 o'clock, and it starts.
Wow.
This car was built at Highland Park in 1917. Now it belongs to Ken Kennedy, and he's brave enough to let me have a go at driving it.
It's like relearning how to drive.
Yeah, it's like you're 16 again trying to figure out how to drive.
Oh.
So efficient was Ford's assembly line, he was able to reduce the price of his cars from $850 to $490, thus bringing cheap motoring to the masses.
But what does Henry Ford's great innovation, the moving production line, have to do with one of the most advanced airliners in the world? Well, at first glance, not so much.
But let's take a closer look. In this factory, they're installing some of the plane's 3 million components.
So you got loads of cable in here. How much of this is there?
There's about 134 miles of wires and cable inside the 777-300ER.
134 miles. My Lord.
So just how do they install so many components so quickly? The answer is beautifully simple. The world's largest moving production line.
This entire platform that we're standing on, where the airplane is supported and everything else, is actually moving as we talk.
So how fast is it moving?
About 1.6 inches per minute.
Just slow enough that you don't really perceive it.
Absolutely. So over a 24-hour period, you'll run almost the length of the entire factory bay.
And the reason for that is that it allows you to have different components be available at different times?
All the materials feed in at a specific time, and as the airplane moves into the location, all that material is then loaded into the airplane and installed on the actual platform.
So it's just like Henry Ford's original system, where they got rid of all the running around looking for different tools and materials. Everything was there just when you needed it. So these are all the parts for this particular job. And you can see that they're all racked up and numbered. So when the workers come in, just the things that they need are on hand. All the screws, the bolts, the nuts, the twist ties, so the crew can just reach out, grab it, and use it. It's the same with the tools. These packs contain all the tools that they need for any particular job.
And it's this that enables Boeing to roll out 100 of the world's most complex machines every year. So let's recap. Our story began with the introduction of water wheels, an invention which helped create the wealth for the building of huge cathedrals, whose need to coordinate their bell ringing led to the invention of the clock and the establishment of working hours, so increasing productivity and stimulating global trade. This linked to an increase in both ships, but also shipwrecks, triggering the development of new lighthouses that required waterproof cement. The same technology that gave us the Erie Canal, which helped grow the city of Detroit, where Henry Ford built his Model T, the car that inspired the moving production line.
But our story isn't over, because the same technology that gave us this car, the Model T, gave us another phenomenon of the 20th century.
Good evening. Welcome to White Castle. My name is Donna. May I have your order, please?
Yeah, can I get 4 of those bacon cheeseburgers?
On the back of the car boom, restaurateurs came up with a new idea: serving drivers in their cars.
And onion rings or fries, what do you recommend?
I recommend both. Both of them are good.
The problem was that each meal was cooked individually to order, so service was slow and the food was often cold.
And then how about a chocolate shake?
Small, medium, or large.
Then in 1921, a new restaurant opened, White Castle, with an ingenious solution. To speed up production, the kitchen employed, you guessed it, a production line. It soon took off,
Thank you.
and restaurant chains sprung up across America using the same idea. By the 1950s, it had a new name: fast food. And it doesn't end there. Production lines affect every area of our modern lives, from the medicine we take and the clothes we wear, to the vehicles we drive and the fuel we put in them. There's no doubt that the production line is one of the great defining innovations of the 20th century.
And if the links in this story are any guide, the future's gonna be more surprising than we can possibly imagine.